Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I have a guy here, talented footballer. I don't know about the soccer part. He will have to tell us about the soccer part. But without further ado, I want to ask you to give your background and from when you came.
Okay, my name is Allan Callender. I went to school at Favour Intermediate. I left school at 16, went to be an apprentice at Texaco. I worked there for 5 years as an apprentice. Then I went to be a mechanic. During that time, I played soccer for Forest Reserve, SAFL, South, Trinidad under 21. I was also an athlete, but we'll get to that later.
All right. So South. Well, South have a lot of big ballers there, you know. Is there any big name that you mingled with before we come up here? Because um, this is what I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen. I have to get this from him. Any names in South team that you played for? Because at one time South was getting dominant in terms of the football in Trinidad.
Yeah, but I started back in 1961. So the names I'll be calling will be guys from back in 61. You're probably talking about the Archibald and DeLeon days, which was slightly after me.
No, but we had Tony Scarrett on, and they're even older than you. But this is an exercise where people around you would still get to learn about you. So don't be afraid if it's national. That's something to be proud of. So it's not about age, it's about information. So if you want to call any name around your time when you played on the national or you played against anybody that you could recall.
I mean, at that time, everybody that was somebody in soccer, then I played because the All-Star game used to be North against South. So all of the guys like Andy Aliong, Pat Gomez, Jamute, Sedley Joseph, Franco, Ken Hodge, Atabrang, my buddy Tim Lamkin, and I say my buddy because we both played left wing. Atabrang, Clive Burnett, like some guy, Clem Clark.
But if it's not, so those are opposition. They seem like you make a lot of friends because you call it the names with smile.
It's been a long time, and
Yeah.
I forgive most of them.
All right. And who you played with, teammates?
Bertrand Grell, I have to start with Bertrand Grell. Selwyn Moran, Kent Moran, Lance Moore, Ronnie Gray, Monty Douglas, Doyle Griffith, DeLeon, Archibald, Ian Callender. That's my brother.
But you see, Archie and these guys are a little later, right?
Just a little after me, but I had 1 or 2 years with them. 1 year with them, actually.
Okay. So what year you came to Canada now?
I came to Canada in 1969.
1969. So were you part of that whole formation? Did you come into ball or you came to work or you came to study?
Well, I'll have to tell you what happened. I got my leg broken 1966. While I was in the hospital, I decided, my leg was broken off. So I thought I will not be able to play sports again. So I decided instead of being a little fish in a little pond, I decided to be a little fish in a big pond. That is when I decided to come to Canada, not knowing I'd be playing soccer again.
Okay. All right. So that's 3 years of rehab then, if it's 66 and you came in.
No. Well, I started playing again. But at that time, I'd already decided I was going to be coming.
Oh, okay.
While I was lying down.
So I'm trying to get into your mindset. When you reach here, what was the, people say it's for betterment. What was it for you in terms of?
My main reason is because I wanted to leave because I didn't think I could play sports again. And I couldn't see myself just being without sports.
Okay.
So that's why I decided to come. But after I applied, while I was waiting on the reply on the results, I went back playing.
So things work out for you from a health point of view in terms of rehabilitation and everything else.
Oh yes.
Okay, all right.
But I already decided to come. So I didn't come with like some guys came to go to school that may be. I had a few friends who were here, so they were apprentices too in Texaco. So and they were here, so I knew I had people I could stay by.
Okay.
That's how I came.
So 69, what was it like here? What was the environment? Because the history we do in 69, that was the formation of West Indies. 70 was the formation of Irie. So did you get a touch of any of those situation, or when did you join IRE, or did you play with any other team before you got into the Caribbean/West Indian environment?
Yes, I played with a team, I can't remember the name. Well, in those days, only white guys. I was passing by a park and I saw guys. I told them I could play. I went there, I practiced. And lo and behold, they started getting me gear. They got me everything, and so I played with them for that first year. However, part of the reason I couldn't go anywhere else, I used to be working evenings. So I couldn't go practice anywhere.
Oh, I was told you tried to come and play when you went to further your career in the ball, and you came a little too late into IRE, and you told me that is unheard of.
No, that was not exactly what happened. When IRE was forming, I heard about it. So I went down to the practices, but I could have only gone on weekends because I was working evenings. So when the first game that I played, I went there expecting to play, but I did not play because I did not pay membership fee. And the problem with that is down in Texaco where I worked, where I played, we never had to pay membership fee. So I was not aware of that. The day of the first game, I went expecting to play, and the coach Scarrett told me, well, I can't play, which was uncomfortable. But so obviously from the next game I played. So I did not play IRE's first game.
You remember who were in the team, the players that were in the team at the time? Well, seeing that you're a scorer, how was that debut game for you? How you felt? Could you recall?
I mean, I was young.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and I really can't remember much about the game.
So in IRE now, and how was it? How was the competition? You know, how was the club? Did you, what compared to what you left at home? How was it?
It was quite different from when I left, because where I was working for the company. The company paid a secretary to take care of the sports, so it was quite different. You know, like I can't compare it as far as how a club was run, because we had in Trinidad we had clubhouse, and we had everything that we needed. We had balls to practice. There was nothing that we didn't have.
Yeah, you came in the formative stage. Okay, how was the competition?
Oh well, we had almost a Trinidad forward line, you know, because we had Clevica Richard at right wing, Henry Quanvi at inside right, Allan Callender inside left, and Vivian Manzo at left wing. We had Kelvin Arthur at link, Dwight Day at left back. I think Grantley Perryman in goal, and there was a guy I think was Mendes.
Okay.
I think it was Mendes as one of the other backs. That's all I can remember for the. I know that's not 11, but those are the ones I can remember.
Yeah, that's fair enough. But so you guys understand you were destroying the opponents.
Oh yeah, well, it was expected. I mean, you're talking about.
No, it wasn't expected as far as the opposition are concerned.
Well, after we played a few games, the word got around, so they were expecting to be beaten, I believe.
Yeah. So you guys got promoted and stuff. And but what is the story in the preamp I heard about? Because if you're there in 71, your first season was what, 70 or 71?
71, 70 and 71. I think it's 70 and 71.
Okay, so now you're playing the season. Were you part of the rivalry with the West Indies? How was, because apparently West Indies, you had the Dunkley and these guys at that time, so those are credible ball players too. So how was it, or were you guys in different divisions?
I think the first year we were in a different division. I can't remember playing against them except in the Contrast Trophy.
Okay.
Now, you mentioned the name Dunkley. That's one of the guys that I greatly admired. You know, Dunkley and Burtis, the two of the guys, opponents who I I respected highly back then.
Okay. So now there's also a birdie that flew by that was saying that apparently you went with Toronto Metros, which is a name familiar to me. And then you were bringing something to my attention which surprised me greatly about we meeting at Toronto Metros. So how you went to Toronto Metros, and for the public consumption, what is this you're telling me that I'm not aware of in terms
Okay.
of being in the camp?
Okay. As far as I know, I am the first West Indian to sign to play with the Toronto professional soccer team. What happened is the last the last year, I think either 71 or 72, I was playing very, very good, and many of the referees were talking, and apparently the word got around. So Toronto Metros, the professional soccer team in Toronto, came and asked our IRI team to play a practice game. However, when I got there, the coach of the team did not allow me to play. Many of my teammates were angry.
Coach of which team? IRI team?
Avari
Okay.
at the time did not allow me to play. And many of the guys were angry, and they explained to me that he did not want me to play because he did not want the team to see me. But what I heard is that the team came especially to look at me, because the Toronto Metros, their season had ended. Then they asked us for a practice game. Now imagine a professional team asking our team for a practice game. There has to be a lot more to it than what met the eye. However, the coach did not allow me to play. So what happened is the next year, when I realized that they were practicing, I went there for them to see me. This is when I met you and trying out for the team.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a surprise to me when he told me this, because I thought I was the only one there, because again, he was more in Toronto before me. So what bring me up to speed of our encounter at Toronto Metros, because that's 73.
Okay, so when I got there, the coach really was not looking at me, and he had me with you and some other guys. So the assistant coach was looking at us, and they were asking us to do some drills. Well, I thought they were doing too slowly, so I asked him to speed it up. I asked the coach if he could ask the other guys to speed it up for me, which they did. Then they did another few more exercises, and like he was impressed. And I noticed he went over and spoke to the coach. Then the coach came and spoke to me. So we had a little scrimmage, and I remembered it was at Lamport Stadium.
Yes.
And you remember how Lamport Stadium, the surface is. It's not like grass.
Artificial, yeah.
Artificial. So what I was doing just before the game, I was taking off my track pants, I have on my short pants. And you, being a nice young fellow, told me that I shouldn't do that because I'll be bruising my knees. However, my plan was for them to see my feet moving quickly, because I had bought me a new pair of bright green socks. So the coach would see. And it worked, because after the game, the coach came to me and asked me, why didn't I come to try out before? I had to explain to him they were indoors and I had never played indoor soccer. And he might have been judging me based on indoor performances. So I didn't want that. And that's how I met you there.
Okay. So how did the Metro thing go, and had that worked? Because you never eventually played, right?
I signed up, but no, I did not play. What happened is the coach came to me and apologized because he told me he had picked the team to go to Philadelphia. He told me when he comes back. However, I went playing with IRI. It wasn't actually soccer. We had sort of a track meet, and I ran the 100 meters. I won, but I pulled a muscle. So when they came back and the coach called me, I told him what happened. He was not pleased. He told me I'd still come down and see if I could play. But I did not want to play because I remembered back in Trinidad, a guy by the name of Kelvin Panton had a pull muscle, and he played for SFL against College League. And he did not have a good game. And I remember Ken Gott saying he will never see a league team again as long as I have anything to do with it. Because he went on with the pull muscle and could not move. In those days, we didn't change players. So I remember that, and I figured I should not go on. This game was at Varsity Stadium. I figured I should not go on because my muscle wasn't as good as it should have been. And then they brought a left wing from Germany, and that was the end of my tenure with Toronto Metros at the time, which is now Toronto FC. And well, what happened is the coach, he recommended that I go and play in this semi-pro league. So I played for a team called Hungarian, which were predominantly Hungarians. In those days, there was a league where it was mainly people from other countries, like a Greek team, Yugoslavia, Czechoslovakia, Germans. Well, we were Hungarian, Polish. That's how the league was comprised, those kinds of players.
Well, you played a full menu for you. I don't think there's any dessert for today because you have a large history here. You continued with Irie, or you didn't stay with Irie too long because I didn't play with you.
No. The first 2 years I played, I ended up getting most valuable player and most trophy for most goals.
Okay.
And this is, but as I said, of course, I was not pleased because the coach didn't allow me to play with the team because that time I was in real form, and the Toronto coach would have seen me,
Yeah.
So I was not pleased with how I was treated.
Okay.
So I left.
So you left Irie.
But you see, remember, I didn't just leave. They were paying me to play. It's not like I went to another team.
Yes.
When I played with Hungarian, they were paying me.
Okay. Did you ever come back to any of because I saw you remember what years? Because remember, I met you at West Indies in 77. And within being in Irie from 74 to 77, where I met you at West Indies, I think the only hint I got was you with Unity.
Yes, well, remember this time I was in my 30s.
Mm-hmm.
So I realized when I left the semi-pro league, I realized I didn't have it. Well, actually, what happened with Hungary, I had a problem because the owner of the team, he never did come to practice. But he would stay in the stands, and when he didn't like what someone was doing, he would come down and force the coach to make changes. Well, he was signing our checks. So obviously he had a lot of power. Well,
Yeah.
I used to complain about it. Now remember, they were predominantly Hungarian. We had a Greek guy, one guy from Argentina, and a few Scottish guys. Guys who were on the Metro's team the years before.
Mm-hmm.
And when they couldn't make, they came down and they played in Hungary.
So did he come your way? Did he ever come to get you changed or anything like that? Or you thought it was just breaking the synergy and the chemistry of the team? Was it personally in your area where he would ask for you to be changed, or it was taking players away from you?
No, it seldom happened to me, but I didn't like how he was doing it. No, it seldom happened to me. Okay. But I didn't like from the time he comes down from the stand, you knew a change was going to be made. Like somebody will try something, and if they didn't succeed, he would come down and tell the coach, and they had to leave. I mean, the change was made.
Okay.
So I used to talk about it.
Well, welcome to that type of ball where somebody is paying money and feel they can do it. That's his own business. So and I like that some of the players now, even the young players now, understand that when you go in these type of environment, you have to kind of take what you get. Yes, you're being paid, but these malfunctioning thing that has nothing to do with the game also goes on, as you're saying, because that's kind of like a weird system where you always kind of know that something's going to happen when the owner leave the stand. That is not part of the game, but we see that in the NFL too. But okay, so now after that, where did you go?
One of the guys from Unity team was my roommate, Cecil Gans.
Okay.
And so when he was going down to practice with Unity, I would go with him. And they didn't have a coach at the time, so I started, helping out.
Oh, you remember what year that was, though?
No, I mean, I'm a calendar, so I don't have to remember yet. You have to look for that. You have to look for that.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm looking for it now. I know in '76, you guys beat Real United. You were playing. I can't remember who was the coach then. So I put you around Unity in '76. Put it this way.
Okay. I had basically 2 stints with Unity. When I came from the semi-pro league, I went with them, and we had a coach who came from another team who was coaching the team, and I was actually the assistant coach, but I did all the exercises.
What coach is that?
Pardon me?
You were the assistant coach?
Yes, I was helping.
Who was the coach at the time?
I would rather not say if it's okay with
all right, okay. That's fine. That's fair.
And at the end of the season, he said to me, "Allan, I don't want you to help me coach next year because you didn't play as good as I know you could." And I thought that was strange because we won every game except the last game of the season. We had already won the league. So I couldn't understand what he meant by I didn't play as good as I could. So and plus I
and that was second division though. If you won, that means you're getting promoted. Oh, there was no
I
promotion.
can't remember. I think it's sometime. I'm wondering if it was a sort of an industrial league. I can't remember us getting promoted that time. But
Yeah, you were in the industrial league, according to Boyd and these guys. I think
right.
Unity
So
started.
I don't think there was any promotion to be around then.
Okay.
As I said, I left. And the coach didn't like. I don't know what was happening because I left, as I said, and the team wasn't doing too well. And the coach, okay, I remember after the year that we won, I left, right? And
Mhm.
the team wasn't doing too well, so the coach left. So this is when I went back and started helping out with the guys. There was no real coach. We were just practicing and playing. And as I said, when I went back, I think that is when we won the Contrast Trophy.
Yeah, 76. Everything has to balance with 76.
All right, but that year was not the official coach.
But I know you played. You were part
Yes, I
of the
played.
goal line.
I played.
No, you weren't the coach. You won't. I don't think.
Right. Yeah. So, but later on, as I said, when that coach left, for whatever reason, I started working with the guys, and this is when we were in the T&D.
Right, because that's what I remember. So that is the time now. To me, Unity was like a grease machine. Here was a team before Magic came out that was really an option to the bona fide two clubs, which was West Indies and Irie. And they were getting larger. They had the social. And if I understand correctly, you had a netball team.
Oh yes.
When you were coach, what you think about your tenure at Unity as coach?
How much time you have?
Well, I will let you know. You calendar and I'm time.
Well, what happened is when I decided to coach. Now remember, I'd never coached before. I'd never coached any team before. And I was with IBM then, and they were offering a course in effective human relations. So I told myself, I know soccer well enough, so let me go and take this course, for effective human relations, which I did. It helped me. Then I realized it was basically like psychology, but I was not familiar with what it was at the time. So I used that to help me with the coaching. So I used a lot of disciplines. I did a lot of things that they weren't used to. Which we had to train. The guys who didn't come out to practice did not play. I did not have a captain, which they could not understand. I remember when I played, when we played, some of the instructions I gave, like they were not supposed to talk to the referee. Nobody knew the referee before, so they're not supposed to talk to the referee. Everybody had to have their shirt in the pants. And this is the kind of discipline that I instituted.
Okay.
If you didn't practice, you will not play.
Okay. 2 out of the 3 you just mentioned there, I think for public consumption, I guess I would have to ask. Did not practice, did not play, seem to be standard. The other one, but there's 1 out of the 3 you mentioned, not talking to the referee, understood, right? Some later on it was designated the captain was, but now you said you did not have a captain, and I think the public would want to know why you didn't want a captain.
The reason I did not have a captain is because, as far as I'm concerned, I cannot see a captain doing anything special on a team other than flipping the coin. After the captain flips the coin, what does he do? People tell me he has to be a leader, but I've seen when the captain is coming off, he passes the armband to someone else. So is that person who's coming off the bench going to be the leader? But what I did is that I figured that if we had won 2 games with 2 different captains, the third guy that's going to be captain, he will have to put out more because he does not want the team to lose on his watch. And this was my idea. So after we won the 3rd game, the guy that came on the 4th as captain for the 4th game, he'll be giving me everything. And this is how I got everybody to give a little more than they would have been given because they were supposedly being the captain of that day. But remember, all the changes were made from the bench.
Mm-hmm.
So although he was saying captain, but there was nothing you had to do any other than flipping the coin. So this is why
I beg to differ a little bit, but we don't have time to go. But because captain is really by example, he's out there by his game. More than likely, he's one of the better players, top 3 players of the team. So his performance, regardless of opposition, would be at a certain level because that's why people draft players like you, Allan, because no matter who you play against, you're a destructive force, and that gives your teammates a certain amount of confidence that Allan is still being the Allan, so I could probably be me. So normally a captain is by example, but I understand your reasoning because your reasoning making sense too. And the call is yours as the coach. The bottom line is it's your call.
And it worked.
Yeah,
And it worked.
that's right. So,
Okay.
That's fair. That's fair. So what happened after that? So you won the cup, which was big. You recall that game?
Honestly, I cannot remember the game. All I remember is one goal that I scored with my head. That's the only thing I could remember of that game.
But you remember winning the game, though?
Yes.
Okay.
Because at the end, I received the trophy.
Okay. You retrieved the trophy as the winning trophy? The
Yes.
trophy, or
The trophy for winning, the contrast trophy.
So is there a chance you were the captain or the coach of the team?
I know I was not the captain. I can't even remember who was the captain, but I know I'm the one that asked to receive it.
Okay. All right. You can't remember if you were the captain?
I don't think I was.
Okay.
Well,
okay.
This is before I was coaching, This is before I was coaching.
Yeah, obviously.
Okay.
So, all right. So what happened at the end of your tenure with the coaching? Because when I saw you in 77 at West Indies, you coached after that, not so?
Yes, I did.
So let's talk about the West Indies stint where you had the West Indies United fans going in a frenzy at Lampard Stadium.
Well, you have to remember that I did not see the game. You saw the game, so you will be in a better position.
Yeah, but I could only put in. I'm supposed to ask you if you could retain or if you remember the game and your whole situation at West Indies. First to begin, how did you manage to join West Indies for the Premier Division?
Well, apparently when they were moving up to the Premier Division,
yes,
and so they wanted to get some of the better West Indian players. And so they asked me, well, of course, it was a very good opportunity. Off stick, some guy named Alwyn, better known as Midget, and Tony Robinson. I think the four of us they wanted on the team. So that is how we got there. And I remember we were playing at Lampard Stadium, and that wasn't as fast, but apparently I was still quick enough for them to talk about.
So you can't remember, or you don't recall, or is this something just happened in the stands where you were called Seattle Slew?
Well, I was told that I outran the defense quite a few times, and the predominantly Jamaican crowd at that time, Seattle Slew had just won the Triple Crown. So they gave me the name Seattle Slew.
So you're aware of the Seattle Slew, right?
Pardon me?
You're aware of that name?
Oh, yes. Like they still call me, but if any of them should see me now, that's how Slew. That's how they call me.
Okay, all right.
But not too many Trinidadians know about it. So whenever I hear Slew, I know it's a Jamaican or somebody who used to look at soccer in those days.
Okay, that's why when I mentioned it to you, you said that only you would be able to tell me that from the community.
Yes.
Okay.
It was from that stint with the West Indies United, because we won Lampard Stadium, and when you push the ball on the artificial turf, the ball was running, and I was able to go after it. So they saw the speed.
So, and that speed that you showed there, you always had that speed, Allan? You always had those toes? Because you're kind of light, you kind of run light too. Sometimes you run and quick steps.
Remember, at that time I was around 33, so I was not as fast as I was 2-3 years ago before.
You still was faster than most.
I'm not arguing with that.
Yeah, so we still got to talk about fast. If you want to tell me how fast you were in terms of timing or clocking, then you can do that too. You're free to let me know how fast you were. Were you in track?
Yes, I was. Before I came to Canada, I was in track and field. As a matter of fact, I represented Trinidad in track and field. West Indies games back in, I think it was 64, 65. I came back to Trinidad with a silver medal for long jump. I was in that year, I was Trinidad's high jumper, long jumper, and triple jumper. So I was picked to represent Trinidad in those 3 jumps that year.
Okay.
That same year, I think, is as a matter of fact, when I left Trinidad, I think my national record was still standing. I jumped 20.
For what? High
long
jump?
jump. Long jump. I heard somebody jump more than that, but this was one of the Swanston brothers that was done in the States. But nobody, I set the record in 65. I left in 69. But I remember I got injured in 65. Lincoln Phillips, I ran into Lincoln Phillips in the Oval, and that was the end of my long jump career.
And there you go. And I always had you as a smart forward, but now you've proven me wrong. You run into Lincoln Phillips, so I got to take back that, ladies and gentlemen. I thought he was a smart forward. And Lincoln Phillips is a goalkeeper, not even a defender he ran into.
And if we want to talk about brave, or what's the other side of being brave? There's a thin line between bravery and you know what?
Yeah.
My leg was broken in running into a goalkeeper. I got my left leg broken in 67.
From Lincoln?
No. Lincoln was my right ankle, which the one is I used to long jump off of. That's how I stopped long jumping.
So there's a habit with you and keeper? Or?
Well, as long as the ball is going by the goal, I'm going after it.
Yeah, you see, this is the speed. You think you could get it before them? It has to be that.
Of course.
Yeah. So after the Unity and the West Indies, what happened with the career?
Okay. Then I went back to Unity as the coach, as I said. So we played for 2 years, and
was that a recall? Somebody called you back? Was there a void in the club where
No. The 2 years, what happened is, I remember I told you just before, when I started coaching Unity, I went and I took a course at Seneca, Effective Human Relations.
Yeah.
So during the 2 years that I was coaching, after Seneca, I realized that I know what they're talking about. So I went to Ryerson for 2 years for a certificate in Effective Human Relations.
Okay.
So while I was there, remember, as I said earlier on, I left school at 16. So I never thought schooling was something for me. But this time I was about 34, and I was realizing that my soccer career was coming to an end. So what will I be doing on evenings when I used to be going in the park before? So I decided to apply to York. And I applied to York to do a bachelor's in psychology.
Well
so
done.
after my 2 years coaching Unity, when I was unceremoniously gotten rid of.
But no, hold on. The public still will want to know. Some coaches don't like when you say they retired. Some coaches don't like when they say they got fired. You saying unceremoniously gotten rid of? I don't know. That's a new one. So you want to break that down for the public?
Well, I thought after taking Unity from where they were, the club almost dismantled, I brought them up. And as you know, we had netball and soccer. The team was really doing well. We had our picnics and everything, and we were doing well. We went on a trip to Barbados. But apparently, the same things like no captain and have to come out to practice. And I was very, very hard on the good players, because I knew from experience that if you allow the good players to do what they want, the other guys who are less will want to know how come they're getting away. They don't tell you anything, but they don't like it. Now, that is also coming back to why I didn't have a captain as such, because one of the guys, let's say we have 11, so we have 5 guys who show how to play. If you put one of the 6, tell him he's captain today, right away you give him a lift. At least that's how I saw it. You give him a lift. So he will come out now saying, like, this coach thinks about me. So even if he didn't come out to practice one day, he will go home and practice because he wants to be in the good graces of the coach. At least that's how I was seeing it.
Well, the way I see it now is that I think that's your call, because nobody now knew the players you were dealing with. You're the best person to make that judgment in terms of how you would uplift your player. That's your policy, because you know there's recourse if the policy doesn't work and everything else. So we can't debate that. That's you.
Okay, let me just to give you I remember my second game coaching for Unity. We had an African guy who was very good, and because he saw he was in the team, during the course of the practice, he was misbehaving. And I remember one of my defensemen, the guy who everybody thought should have been captain, he came to me and asked me if I'm going to play in the practice. Well, I said, he's a member of the club. I can't do anything. But when I announced the 14 for the following day, his name was not on it. Now, it was a scary moment for me because this was my second team, my second game I'm coaching. So I was wondering if we had lost the game, they would all be coming down on me. But fortunately, we won.
You didn't drop him?
Of course I did. I tried to make the guys feel everybody we're all together. So this is how I had the whole team feeling good about themselves.
Yeah.
So we all, I knew who were the better players, but I never allowed the better players to talk to me as they want because they're good. There was no hard talking to each other, you know. I didn't allow that. I think that is part of the reason that the team did so well. But as you know, when you start holding down the stars, they don't like it. Now, when we were winning, they all started thinking that I taking all the credit. But what they didn't know, as you know now, that I had represented Trinidad in track and field before. So coaching unity was not as high for me in sports as I had been before. Mm-hmm. So when they thought that they were doing something to me by getting rid of me, it was doing me a favor because, as I said, I started going to York then. Okay. So after they got rid of me, the teams, I should have told you, during the 2 years that I coached, we lost 6 games. When they got rid of me, the following year, they won 4 and lost 18.
Whoa, well, whoa. And didn't fold?
Not as yet, but it was on the way.
Whoa.
Yeah, because now remember, this is a team for the past 2 years, we were winning. So now they losing. And then, so they went back down to another level. They went down again after the following year. And about the 3rd or 4th year, some of the same people who were glad to get rid of me came back and asked me to coach again.
And
but that time I was
being a unity man as you were, I guess you oblige and help them out.
But very prideful. Don't leave that out. Don't leave that out. So what I did now, remember, as I said, I was gotten rid of unceremoniously.
Yeah.
So when they called me, some of the management who had gotten rid of me started calling when they asked me to come back, I didn't say yay, I didn't say nay. So the management started calling the old players who had stopped coming because, as I said, they were losing, telling them that Allan is coming back. But I never did tell them I was. So they were practicing in Flemington Park indoor. So I went to the practice and I stopped the practice that I had. I stood on the stage and they were on the floor. And I asked, you all asked me to come back to coach. I was coaching here before. I never coached anywhere between then and now. Why do you all want me to come back? Well, there was a noticeable silence. So I said, well, maybe I took you guys by surprise. So next week I'll come back again. So you all will come with, giving me reasons. Mm-hmm. So this told me that I was so hard on some of the guys. And they gave me all the reasons that they had to. So when they were finished, I said, well, guys, I haven't coached anywhere between then and now. So if I come back, I'll be doing those very things. So I think the best thing for us is that I don't come back.
Okay. Did you have any intentions at all of going back, or this was a get even in that just to see them ask you, as people put it, or beg you to come back so you could get your feel that you were good, you were not disappointed, you fulfilled your needs, and you're not going back?
Midget, as I said, I gave my all, but they didn't like what I was doing. And some of them, they thought that they had better ideas, so they got rid of me. So all the ideas that they thought they had, they implemented them, but they didn't work. And this is why they didn't want me, because they didn't like how I was sort of putting their views in the background. And I didn't have time. Remember, I was the sole coach. I was in the park 6 days a week. The only day I didn't go was on Friday. And I told them that is to give the guys who were married time to go to the grocery. But I was in the park 6 days a week. So why should I have a selection committee? And I told them.
Is that part of the beef that you were supposed to have?
Well, I'm assuming because I was the lone selector, because they wanted a selection committee. But I had this view that a committee is a group of people who individually can do nothing, but get together to say that nothing can be done. So,
okay. Was that in the second, you say it's 2-year tenure you had?
Yeah. But what I'm saying,
was that from the first year or?
No, well, the first year they were all listening to me, because remember the team was almost.
So how did that develop for the second year?
Pardon me?
How did that type of attitude that they were taking develop for the second year if everything was running smooth in the first year?
Human beings, unlike ants, Nobody wants to lead when it's not going good. But once it starts going good, everyone wants to tell the leader what to do. And this is exactly what happened. During my first year, they were all listening to me, mouth, ears, eyes, everything open. But then when we were winning, everybody started thinking that, well, we're good. And so they wanted to tell me what to do. The same things they were doing the first year when I was telling them to do it. The second year, they wanted to, well, we're good now, so he can't talk to me again. But I was still talking to them the same way. So this is why they had problems.
Okay.
So this is why they got, this is what I believe, this is why they got rid of me.
Okay. So in other words, what we used to call it, you're too strict.
Yes. Yes,
You're
yes.
too strict. Yeah, yeah.
Listen to this. Listen to this. I have this view, as I said, I was there 6 days a week, right? Because practice, practice, practice. Many people, they would say, coach, because practice makes perfect. And I would tell them, no, that is not true. Practice makes you better. Practice, I don't know anything about practice making perfect. So I'm not going to be aspiring to something that you cannot achieve. Right? Another thing that I am a firm believer in is that good players, and it doesn't only apply to soccer, but the good players practice until they get it right. The great players practice until they can't get it wrong. And this is why I was doing the things I was doing. Because remember, I brought experiences from when I was playing Trinidad under 21, when I was playing with South with a guy named Doyle Griffith, who was a disciplinarian, when I was playing, when I was in track and field, I used some of the exercises from the track and field to bring to the soccer. So all of these things was an eclectic approach I had. But
yeah,
they had,
probably new to them, as you say.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
But the thing is, it worked during the first year when they were all listening. But during the second year, they all wanted to tell me what to do. Another thing. If I remember, when I was a little fella, I think I was bright, in school. But then when I was around 14 and I realized I had athletic skills, I put the schooling in the background. And all I was doing was following sports. As I said, in the first half of the year in Trinidad, I was in track and field. And in the second half, I was in soccer. I even played basketball. I played field hockey. I played lawn tennis. All of them on a competitive level. So as long as a ball was involved, there I was. So I was never thinking anything about books.
And what time in there you come to that group? Because this is a good moment, and I like this topic because the end product is there where you did. So when then, because you also have that gift in the sport, you're athletic, you could play everything. When there something clicked that watch, you could do this too.
But okay, as I said, I tell people I evolved into this degree because from the soccer, remember I said I went to Ryerson to get the certificate in effective human relations, and that was solely for the soccer. Right. And then I realized, and my wife was after me, why don't you go back to school? Why don't you go back to school? But what she didn't know is that I didn't think that I had what it took. As a matter of fact, when I applied to York, I was supposed to start on a Monday, and that Sunday evening, we started in the summer. That Sunday evening, I walked up by York, and I'm walking around with my mouth open and looking over this place and saying, boy, Allan, what you doing here? University, this is for people who are smart. There's a guy by the name of Uric Bob. We went to school together. He and I used to train together in track. And I'm saying, universities for people like Uric. I left school at 16. What are you talking about going to university? You're not supposed to be there. But anyway, I still did go. And the first day I went, I sat in the middle of the classroom, exactly from the back to the front, because as far as I'm concerned, I wasn't supposed to be there. But as I told you, my wife was after me, why don't you? But I didn't believe that I had what it took.
Mm-hmm.
And one
during my first has have the confidence in you.
She was seen, because in those days I was a big talker, as most people will tell you.
Yes.
So she was hearing some of the things that I was saying and believed that I had it. But remember, she had, by that time, she already had her master's. So she was trying to get me to go, but I'm saying, why does she keep bothering me about just going to school? Why is she bothering me? But anyway, so here I am there now. And I remember the first time I was supposed to write an essay. When I handed in what I was going to be writing about, the professor looked at me and said, what's this? And on my way home, I said, well, Alan, you see, you're not supposed to be here. What are you doing here? And then a question came to me, okay, so you're going to quit. What will you do then? And that thought made me say, you know what, I'm going to go back. I asked her what she wanted. I tried to remember as much of what she said as I could. And then I rewrote it, or I wrote it and then gave it back to her. And she said, okay. And then I buckled down. You see, like whenever I'm into sports, I focus only on that. And so, I don't know if I can say this. One time, my wife said to me, if my butt were 2 soccer balls, I will get more attention from you. Because
well, people say it in different ways, but it add up to the same thing. All your attention going one spot. So that's what it meant.
Yeah, so here I am now saying all I have to do is to focus. You know what I mean? So I didn't. She did help me a lot because I didn't know how to use the library and all of these things. You know, so I had to get help. You know,
Yeah,
so
but that help is support help.
But yes, I know. But
application is you.
Why I don't?
You're accomplishing. You're still. I'm not going to put you with the bright ones. I'm not going to put you with the sparrows and them. But you hold your own. You hold your own. You get your people.
As I said, well, okay, all right. But I say because I didn't do it for any particular reason. I just went, as I said, I went from Seneca. Then I got the 2-year certificate at Ryerson. And then when that was finished, now my appetite is whetted. I was feeling for more, but I didn't have the testicles to go after it.
Yeah.
So with her encouragement, or more than encouragement, you know, pushing, I decided, okay.
Well, your story, that story now is case in point for the young people, because they might not feel they have it. And, you know, obviously their parents might think they have it. And the fact that you accomplish it is the most important thing. Alan, I want to thank you for giving me the time, the opportunity, and the information. And just stay safe.
Thank you. Thank you. It was a pleasure. I have no problem doing this. I actually enjoyed it.
All right. Okay.